Okay, so for today, since it's a 3-hour class and we will be meeting once a week lang. So I'll discuss first kung ano yung course overview and what will be the syllabus. I'm pretty sure some of you might have seen it already. But we'll just go through it again in case you have any questions in terms of the flow or the format of the class. And then we'll do a little bit of lecture, hindi naman activity, or more of thought exercise lang later at the end, just to introduce the topic of algorithms. Okay. Let me. Angelo, hello, welcome. Right. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sige. So again, the class is data structures and algorithms. Okay. So we'll go through the course syllabus and then some basic rules lang on this class. And then we'll in case you haven't seen the Canvas page yet for the class, I'll show it again later on. Right. So for this course provides students with the basic tools necessary to develop their own algorithms, okay, in whatever field of application they may be required. I think I have to highlight naman yung video, yung screen ko, no? You all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this course concentrates on the fundamental techniques used to design and analyze efficient algorithms. These techniques include greedy algorithms, divide and conquer, dynamic programming, and graph algorithms. So these are the generic categories of algorithms that we will be discussing throughout this semester. Okay, so course learning outcomes for you to design algorithms for solving simple problems, and of course implement, test, and debug these algorithms. So determine the time complexity of different algorithms. So later on, we'll discuss why we need to look into time complexity as well. Describe common applications for simple data structures and for you to be able to identify the most appropriate data structure for different types of problems and justify your choice. So on your previous programming class, I'm not sure what the code is now, but I think MSYS 20 yata yung code niya. So you have learned how to program at least on some level. And ngayon, we will be focusing on whether you are actually making a program, making an efficient program or a correct program. Okay. And of course, correct means we should be solving or answering the problem. Okay. For the course outline, of course, we will go through some introductions first on algorithms, which we will start today. And we'll also look into the algorithm efficiency. So how do we measure the performance or the efficiency of your algorithms? Okay, and then we'll go through the different categories of algorithms. So we'll go first with searching, with sorting. Oh, late ko pala sa camera. Okay. Galing ko muna. Okay, searching, sorting, data structures, trees, and graphs. Okay, so if you haven't heard these terms yet before, don't worry. We will go through this one by one. Grading criteria, since we are on a virtual setting, we don't see exams really to be effective, especially for this class. So we were focusing on coding assignments, problem sets, maybe a few explanations or essays, but we'll see. And then your project. So we will announce the project specifications later on. Okay. Any questions from the syllabus, course outline, and grading criteria? Are there any questions?
None, sir.
Okay. Sige. Grading system. So you should be familiar with the DISC's grading system. So we will still use that. A493 and the rest. Okay, for Zoom, yeah, can you change your names to your preferred name and surname? If let's say for the next iteration of the class, mawala yung preferred name and surname, just please put it in again. The programming language that we'll be using for this class will be Python. Okay? If so, make sure that you have running development environments on your computers, whether you're using Jupyter Notebook, Collaboratory, or VS Code. That's really up to you, as long as we're using Python. Okay? Official learning management system, we will be using Canvas, okay, which I will show later on. And then for live sessions, like every Saturday, I've sent Google Calendar invites to everyone, at least I believe everyone. If you haven't received them yet, okay, please let me know so I can forward a calendar invite to you. Make sure to accept the invite if you are keen to attend the class. Okay, so if let's say on that day you are, alam nyo na hindi kayo makaka-attend, okay, so make sure to decline and just state a brief reason kung bakit so that I won't be surprised or hindi ko kayo hahanapin. Okay? Of course, live session, same format as before. Attendance is encouraged but optional. Okay? We will be recording each sessions and upload these recordings within 24 hours. Okay? And then lastly, I think, ilan ba tayo ngayon? We're just 9. At least 9 lang kayo from the class. We're missing anyone? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, among the 9 of you, does anyone want to be the beadle for the class? Okay, ano yung gagawin ni beadle? So mostly assist me on, I will assign you as a co-host for the Zoom. So in case your students come in, your classmates come in, just admit them. I also have a Discord server for most of my students. So you will be assigned a beadle role there, which means that you have also admin rights to accept your classmates in the Discord server. Okay, so anyone wants to be the beadle for MSYS 30? Wala pa? Wala pa may gusto?
Sir.
Angelo. Okay.
Ako, sir.
Okay, thanks, Angelo. So I will be assigning you as the beadle for official beadle for the class. Okay. As far as the class list, I think all of you are coming from MIS. I'm not sure if you know each other, but hopefully you guys and girls know each other. So Angelo, I'll talk to you separately regarding some of the beadle activities. Okay. In case you're wondering if eating is allowed, of course, I don't have any control on that. It's up to your discretion if you will show up your camera, turn on your camera or not while eating. Okay. Our class schedule, it's seated right at the lunch time. So I understand if you guys are eating, I even have my coffee right here with me. So that's pretty much understandable. Just make sure that you're muted para hindi maging mukbang session yung class natin. Okay? Lalo na kung kakainin nyo ay chicharon, or pata, mga ganun. Alright? So thanks, Angelo, for volunteering to be the beadle. Sige, I'll talk to you later on. For the books and references, so most of the contents will be coming from the book on the left, which is Grokking Algorithms. So it's a very digestible material regarding algorithms. So let me share how the book looks like. So this is Grokking Algorithms. It's available online, but I will share as well on Canvas and on Discord the links to these books. So if you will browse through it, okay, let's say tayo sa intro to algorithms. Ayan. So may mga comic strip siya explaining each of the algorithms or the process, no? So explaining everything on the algorithms. Okay, so this will be the main reference for this class so that hindi naman overwhelming yung topic of algorithms. In case that you want to go a little bit technical, okay, if I move to the right, we have two books. The Intro to Algorithms is by Corman, Lyserson, Rives, and Stein, or commonly known as CLRS. Ito yung so far most famous book about algorithms, but it's a very technical book, but it has a lot of details and a lot of mathematics. So if you are not enjoying much of the technicalities and the mathematics, I'm not sure if this book is for you, but in case you're interested, I'll just put it up here. I might be also getting some definitions from this book kasi some of the definitions are really grounded on the mathematical background. So let's see kung ano mangyayari. A lighter version of the Intro to Algorithms is the Algorithms Unlocked. Okay, so if you notice, the author is the same author of Intro to Algorithms, si Thomas Corman, at least one of the CLRS authors. So he made like a watered down version of the Intro to Algorithms. Para binawasan niya yung mathematics, he puts more real life problems, real life experience into those topics, and then publish niya as Algorithms Unlocked. So it's also a safe book to look at. So these are the three books that we will be looking at least sa mga slides or discussions later on. These are the three references that I might be citing on. Right? Okay, any questions? Okay, kaya sa camera ko. Okay, any questions while I move to the Canvas page?
None for me, sir.
Okay. All right, so this is the Canvas page. Oops. Ano yung monitor ko? Pakat siya sa screen. Okay, yan. So if you go to the Canvas page, you will see this screen first. What just a basic intro to algorithms. You will see here on the right hand side the same hindi kita sa screen, but on the right hand side we have the calendar for the things to be submitted and also the grading criteria. At the end, okay, under the course summary, lahat ng deliverables will be laid down here. So the Zoom link is here, emails and subject guidelines are also here. Syllabus is here, everything is here. Okay. All right. If walang tanong so far, let's proceed with the lecture for today. Walang tanong? Before we start with the actual lecture, so let me ask you a few things. I will remove Spotlight, put it on gallery mode. Okay, so anyone whose camera is turned on, kayo on the recording. Okay, so let's put ourselves in the situation kunwari face-to-face na lahat. Okay? And since our class is during lunchtime, we decided na we'll spend our time outside and we're gonna grab some lunch. Okay? Let's say, sige, Angelo, since you are the Beadle, I ask you to get your classmates' feedback on where shall we eat. What will you do? Sorry.
Ano yun, sir? Tatanungin ko sila.
Tatanungin mo sila. Sige, if you will go through each step one by one, ano yung gagawin mo? Tanungin mo sila, how?
Face-to-face, sir, di ba? So, lalapitan ko muna.
Lalapitan mo sila. Okay.
Tapos, then, a-ask ko po kung where do you want to eat.
Sige. So, paano mo sila lalapitan? Do you approach them by group or isa-isa? Or ano ba?
Siguro by group po kasi.
By group. Okay. So, how many responses are you expecting? So, let's say we have 5 groups in the class. Are you expecting 5 responses or are you expecting ilan ba tayo sa class? I think we are 21 in the class. Are you expecting 20 responses in the class?
Siguro,
Hindi mo kailangan
sir,
pag-isipan na masyado
siguro, sir, 5 responses. Like,
5 responses.
May representative per group.
Okay. So 1 answer per group. Alright? Sige. Now, let's say you have 5 answers per group. Sure, syempre, hindi naman tayo kakain sa 5 places, di ba? How will you now filter down our options? Paano tayo maka-arrive dun sa isang store na pupuntahan natin lahat? Other students can also help pa. Hindi lang si Angelo. Yeah, okay. So, ang premise ng kwento natin, so si Angelo nag-approach sa inyo. Okay, sorry. Let's start. Ulit tayo simula. Ang plan natin since lunchtime ngayong class is we're eating out. Face-to-face scenario. Okay? So, mag-lunch tayo sa labas and sabi ko, okay, decide kayo kung ano yung tayo kakain. So, sabi ni Angelo, he will approach each group. So, he's expecting, so if we have 5 groups in the class, he's expecting 5 responses. So, now we have 5 options. We can't really eat on all 5 of them. So, how do we filter down our options?
Maybe we can filter it, sir, by having the 5 groups vote on each one, and whichever has most votes, we go eat there.
Okay, so by voting. So each option will have a score and majority. Ba't lumilit yung camera ko? Okay? And at the end of the discussion, kung sino yung panalo and yun doon nakakain.
Yes.
Okay, so let's say we have scores for each. We have the votes already for each of the 5 options. How do we determine kung which one yung panalo?
The one with the highest number?
The one with the highest number, correct. So it's very easy to identify kasi we only have 5 options. And ayun, so everyone could see like, oh, ito yung maximum, ito yung top option natin, di ba? So that's one of the approaches. Okay, so and how we can actually think of where to eat. Now that's given that we are only 2021 in the class. But what if I'm asking the entire Ateneo population on where to eat? Do you think that approach will still be manageable or efficient? Any thoughts?
Sir, parang when that happens, parang kailangan i-excel mo na yata lahat ng choices nila kasi ang raming students.
Okay, kailangan na i-excel, kailangan natin ng tool. Okay? Pero would you still be going through that approach that you will look into different groupings? Let's say hindi na 5 groups. So let's say per school na yan. And then down per school, magiging per course na. Would that be the approach if we're tackling the entire Ateneo population?
Sir, feeling ko po parang I think kailangan naghahanap na po kailangan ng trends. I think
Okay,
friends po
that's
dapat
that.
hanapin kasi parang I mean, lahat ng options po nila iba-iba pero there should still be po parang mga konting similarities between their options.
Mhm. And then, once you find those similarities, dun tayo ngayon mag-depend ng options. Tama ba?
Apo, ganun po.
Alright, sige. Thank you, Wesley. Wesley, ba? Alright, si Wesley yun. Tama. Okay, so thanks, Wesley, for that. So, ang ginawa ni Wesley is based on the commonalities of the answers. Okay? Doon ngayon lalabas kung right? Teka, close ko muna yung video ko. Okay. So doon lalabas yung magiging groupings. Okay? So we're basically dividing the huge population of restaurants kung saan kakain yung buong Ateneo. Okay? Teka, wala yung thought ko. Okay? So yung lahat ng options ng pwedeng kainan ng buong Ateneo, you group natin together, so we're dividing all of them into categories. And then that's how we will decide kung paano magka-come up ng restaurant. Okay? Parang ganun yung option. So it's actually an example or a very washed down example of a divide and conquer. Okay? So parang we're dividing our huge population of or all of the data we have at nalistahan natin ng restaurants, and then tsaka tayo mamimili, mag-focus down on that category. Okay? So ang nasa isip ko actually, on what I was thinking of how to approach this, okay, is, for example, I will ask kung anong cuisine. Okay? So let's say sabihin ko, who wants Asian and who wants Western? Okay? And then who wins, we'll trickle down. Okay? Asian, do we choose Korean, Filipino, or Japanese? Kunwari lang. Okay? Then pag nag-trickle down na, okay, then let's say nanalo Filipino restaurants. Okay, anong Filipino restaurants ngayon? So we have these options. So we are narrowing down our options, but at the same time, we're making our problem solving faster. Okay? Instead of waiting for everybody to send the responses, kahit may Excel ka, kung wala naman nag-submit, wala din, di ba? So that's an algorithmic way of thinking on that problem. Okay, so yun lang yung actually point ko for the introduction to algorithms. Okay, so let me share my screen. Sana mag-share siya na maayos. Okay. All right, so first we have a problem. Okay, so given the list of all the restaurants, okay, ano yung pipiliin nating kainan? Okay, so that's an example of a problem, okay, which is a specification of our desired input-output relationship. Okay, for this class, of course, we will be looking into computer algorithms or computational problems. Okay, so let's say if you were given an array of characters, okay, what we wanted at the end is a sorted array of the same characters. Okay, parang ganon. So the input and the desired output. Now, the instance of a problem, okay, are all the inputs or the parameters needed to compute a solution to the problem. So if you have heard about instantiating a variable, okay, or basically parameters, kung ano yung inputs na kailangan nyo, that is what we call the instance of the problem. So ano yung instance ng problem natin kanina? Okay, so the instance would be the list of all restaurants available probably around Ateneo. Okay? Kasi tayo naman, yung class naman yung mag-lunch. Okay? So that's our input. Okay? Now, the algorithm comes in. Okay? So it's a well-defined computational procedure. Okay? So it's the process of transforming that input or that instance into the output that we want. Okay? So achieving the desired input and output relationship. Okay? So ngayon, yung process na pinadefine ko kay Angelo, yung dinefine ni Wesley, that is an example of an algorithm. Okay, so how do we transform again that input and output in detail? Okay, probably in our heads it will be easy. Okay, si Gerard is sabi kanina, just look at the highest score. But for computers, they don't really know which one is the highest score, not right away at least. So you have to tell them, you have to give them instructions on how to look at the maximum value or maximum score. So that's also a part of the algorithm that you have to define. Okay, so from the Grokking book, it's basically defined a set of instructions for accomplishing a task. Okay, now there are correct algorithms, there are incorrect algorithms. Okay, for an algorithm to be correct, it has to stop at the correct output. Okay, so for example, if we want to look through all the characters of an array, ano yung loop na pwede natin gamitin? Okay, let's say my instruction is search through the array. Okay, run through all the elements of the array, print all the characters. Ano yung loop na gagamitin? Anyone? Okay, ulitin ko. Let's say the instruction is, I want you to print all the elements of an array per line. Okay, so one by one, each line, yun yung output na kailangan. You are given an array, and the output is each line, dapat i-print out niyo yung each element of the array. Anong loop yung pwede natin gamitin for that?
While loop.
Okay, we can use a while loop. Okay, while let's say the indices, if you're using index as the counter, while the index is still within the length of the array, correct? Okay, now what if, okay, at that point it will stop when the index is already greater than the length of the array, diba? So that's a possible approach. You can also use for loops to define the limits of the loop. Okay, without those limits, okay, it will make your algorithm wrong because it will not possibly stop. Okay, kung let's say mag-continue siya beyond the length and sabihin ng computer kunwari it's just to output error or output null numbers, kapag so magtutuloy-tuloy lang yung loop niya, and the printing will continue and you will end up with an infinite loop. So is that a correct algorithm? Not exactly, although it printed out the elements of the array earlier. Okay, so magkaiba yun. So that's an algorithm that will do the task, but it's not the correct algorithm because it doesn't stop at the actual elements of the array. Okay, so it's just a basic example. Okay, so we can say that the algorithm solves the problem if the algorithm stops with the correct output for every input instance. Now, in the domain of algorithms research, are all algorithms correct? Not exactly, because there are problems that are actually not solvable, okay, and there are problems that cannot be solved within reasonable amount of time. Okay, so but that's already beyond the topic of the course. But for now, we will just use a definition that correct algorithms stop at the correct output for every input instance. Okay, and dinagdag ko lang din definition of a data structure. It's a way to store and organize data in order to facilitate access and modifications. So these would be your definition, dictionaries, tuples in Python, pandas. If you have used pandas before, that's also another data structure. So all of these are different data structures, and they have different uses and different efficiencies. Now, the analysis of algorithms is a theoretical study of computer program performance and resource usage. Okay, so we're looking into performance, which is the time runtime of the algorithm, or the time needed to complete the algorithm, and the resource usage is the amount of basically resources that is needed. Okay? And why do we need to study algorithms and their performance? Because first, we want our algorithms to be scalable. Okay. Example ko kanina, if we're just having our small group lalabas for lunch, okay, what if we scale up the number of students to the entire Ateneo population? Will that approach still work? Maybe yes, but it will take what? Days, hours, baka months na nga, or baka kulang pa yung isang semester to get a final response kung saan tayo kakain lahat. Diba? So the algorithm, our initial algorithm isn't that scalable for that huge input size. Okay, and what we want is our algorithms to be scalable at any input size. Okay. Now that also boils down to feasibility. Kasi if the uh, if if the algorithms will not give us a final output in a reasonable amount of time, then I don't think that can be considered as a feasible approach. Okay? Or maybe wag na lang tayong kumain lahat kasi ang tagal makuha ng sagot. Diba? Parang ganun mag-end up yung discussion. Tanggalin na yung project, ang tagal nung final answer. Okay? So it's not feasible. The project is not feasible anymore. Okay? So the same with algorithms, if the problem can't be solved in a reasonable amount of time, then feasibility is a question or is being questioned. Performance also becomes the language to describe the behavior of algorithms. So doon natin malalaman, let's say, if an algorithm increases in terms of runtime, okay, and how does it increase? Does the time duration increase in a log scale, in a quadratic scale? So we can describe our algorithms in this way. So let's say the runtime grows linear. So that means for every increase in input size, there's also a linear amount of increase in time duration, okay, or time elapsed. So let's say 1 second per data input. So kapag dalawa yung data input natin, then 2 seconds ang runtime ng algorithm. Parang ganun lang kasimple yan. So we can describe algorithms that way. And of course, it also describes the currency. How much would the algorithm cost in terms of resources? Okay, will it require huge amounts of space in the memory, or we can reduce that by reduce that by actually improving some of the data structures or improving the process steps itself. Okay, so we are also looking. Performance becomes the currency of algorithms. Okay, so any questions on these four? Why we should study algorithms and performance? Questions? Right. So kung walang question, maybe ako muna magkatanong ulit before we again proceed to another example. Okay. So now you are in the MSYS program. You have taken MSYS 21, which is the basic programming course. You probably have taken MSYS 20, and you probably may idea na kayo, let's say in the future, kung anong gagawin, kung ano yung magiging projects nyo, like the systems analysis and design and the project management. Okay, so why would you need to look to study algorithms? Okay, that's actually the question on the Canvas page. So you're an MSYS student, why do we actually need to study algorithms? Any input or insights? Class?
Kasi algorithms is parang yun po yung parang ginagamit ng code para mag-work sila. Like,
okay.
Everything, lahat po nung code is parang parts of algorithm. Ganun po.
Okay,
Mga apps.
so yung mga apps may algorithms mismo, di ba? So if you've seen yung first picture ko, no? Ayan. I have algorithms, I have data structures, programs. So actually there was this parang equation on some of the podcasts I have listened to, that data structures plus algorithms equals program. So that's right. So programs will contain algorithms. Okay. Anyone else? May iba pang may input on why we should look into algorithms?
For me, sir, I guess because in MIS you're dealing with a lot of data structures, and algorithms can help find trends in those data structures.
Okay. Are you talking about data science algorithms?
Yeah.
Okay, that's true. So there are algorithms also. If you're looking into data science or and analytics, there are tons of algorithms also in that area. Okay, so you will also be looking into that. Okay, maybe last insight siguro before we move on.
So could be ano ba, sir, to optimize our code to run it more efficiently and yung performance nga, sir. And optimize.
Okay, so optimization of your code. Okay, that's correct as well. So kahit sabihin natin, let's say, oh, meron namang code na that will give us the maximum value of the scores. Let's say example kanina. Madali lang yan. Max parenthesis lang yan. Then it will output the maximum score. Okay? But if you don't know if you look at the documentation, pag dinamihan natin yung input size, then you will experience some lag, some slowdowns in your code. Then pagdating sa documentation, dun nyo na malalaman na, it's because they are using this algorithm. That's why it's actually a slow algorithm. Then that's an opportunity for you to optimize that specific code or algorithm. Okay? So let's say if you're planning to come up with a program to gather all of those all of those suggestions on where to eat. So kanina sino ba nag-suggest? I think si Wesley ba yun? Hindi ko maalala. Sino nag-suggest ng Excel?
Ako po, sir.
Ayan, Wesley. So you suggested Excel, di ba? So what if iba ang algorithms na ini-implement ni Excel versus when you implement it on by yourselves on using Python or C# or whatever programming code. Or if you're using Google Sheets versus Excel, iba rin yung algorithms na in-implement nila. So dun yung mag-gauge yung different performance ng mga applications. And that's also if you're planning to develop your own software later on, or maybe part of your thesis or project management class, then algorithms will be a way to improve those. Okay, so yun. So if in case you're planning to make up a new Facebook for the school, then dapat yung app nyo doesn't just work on a small number of people, but also expect that the number of students or users grow. Okay? Ilan ba yung users ni Grab? Tons of, I think it would be around millions already. Okay? So they are now optimizing their code continuously to make sure that the service of Grab is reliable to everyone across the region, Southeast Asia. Okay, napakwento na ako. Okay, let's take a look again at another question. Okay, now let's say for example, yan, kumakain na tayo and na pag-decide ng class na mag-Pusoy Dos or whatever card game, and you have a suit of cards in your hands. Okay, so usually people would sort it out para madali makita, di ba? Kung ano yung lalabas na card. How would you sort them out? Okay, anyone who would like to give an example? Paano nyo sort yung cards nyo?
By color and symbol, and parang numerically ordered from lowest to
Okay.
highest.
Right, numerically ordered lowest to highest. Okay, let's reduce our problem. Currently, you have one suit of cards. So you have the entire spades. You have the entire. One of you have hearts. One of you has diamonds. Okay, so technically, from what you said, numerically ordered, lowest to highest. So how would you do that? Imagine you have your cards in front of you. how would you move your cards to sort your cards basically?
Manually, sir, parang ipipick ko by hand yung mga cards na out of order din
Right.
lalagay sa.
Okay, so you know which cards are out of order, diba? So let's say you have 1, 3, 2, 5, 6. Okay, yun, paikliin natin yung problem, palitin natin yung problem. You have 1, 3, 2, 5, 6. And right away, you know na 3 and 2 are not in order. Diba? So you would simply flip them para maging in order. But what if you don't know what unordered means? Okay. So we are now looking into the mindset, wala namang mind, pero we are now thinking from a computer perspective. How would I know that a 3 and 2 is not in order?
Titingnan po yung parang surrounding numbers. So kahit parang ano ba? Let's say this sa example po, 'di ba? 1, 3, 2, 5, 6 ganun po. Since yung gusto po natin gawin is numerically ordered from lowest to highest. Yung paligid po ng 3 and 2 is 1 and 5. Then parang so nakita nyo po dun sa paligid niya na dapat yung 1 is katabi ng 2 and yung 5 katabi po yung 3. Ganun.
Yung 1 dapat katabi ng 2 and yung 3 dapat katabi ng 5. Yung stab mo, di ba? Right. So you mentioned about surrounding numbers. So ngayon, gagawin natin, okay, paikliin natin yung problem. 1, 3, 2, and 5. Four cards na lang. Okay? If I have these 4 cards with me, 1, 3, 2, 5, okay? Do I start looking from the right, from the left, from the middle? Ito yung cards 1, 3, 2, 5. This is a 1.
So
3, 2, 5.
look from the right.
From the right. So we will start look at 5. Okay? Tama ba? Right, no?
No, lowest to highest. So look from the left.
Look from the left. It's the right naman. So look from the. So we're now looking at 1. Okay? And then what's next?
So from left to right. So 1, 3, 2, 5. 1, 2, 3.
1. You know na hindi dapat magkatabi si 1. Ano yung kayo nasabi? Dapat magkatabi si 1 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and
1
5.
and 2.
So
Tama.
we know na hindi magkatabi
Opo.
kasi mali yung katabi niya. Right? So now paano natin i-flip ngayon yung numbers? How do we make it in such a way na magkatabi si 1 and 2 and si 5 and 6? So currently, if our index is at 1, okay, and we know that the next number is 3, and then we know that the next number is 2, and we know that the next number is 5. Wala to yung camera ko. I don't know why. Sige. Okay, may mang gusto gusto mag-try that, or shall we proceed? Ang gusto mag-try? Sige. What if we look into 2 of each numbers and see which one is greater? How does that work? We look at pairs of numbers. Okay? So, ganun pa rin yung process natin, left to right pa rin. But we will see kung which one is greater and which one is less, basically. So now we have 1 and 3, 2, 5. We're looking at the first pair of numbers. We know that 1 and 3 are in order because 3 is at the right of 1. Tama ba yun?
Yes po.
Okay. So now we look at the next pair. Now it's 3 and 2.
3 and 2.
Okay. 3 and 2. And we know na 3 should be greater than 2. Diba? And it's not the case, so we know that it's not in order. So now we will flip them. Tama?
Opo.
Right. Now, pagka-flip natin, so 1, 2, 3, and 5. So now we look at the last pair, which is 3 and 5. Are they in order or not?
In order po.
In order. So now our final deck of cards are 4 cards. Are they in order or are they sorted or hindi pa? They should be
Sorted.
already.
Sorted.
Right. So sorted na sila. So yun. So that's an example of how to look at algorithms. So since we're talking about computer algorithms, we have to think that computer doesn't know what order and unordered means. So you have to define it to them using your scripts and commands. Okay. So what we actually did is one sorting algorithm. Hindi ko muna sabihin ko ano. Okay, but that's one of the sorting algorithms, and we will see how it performs once you reach the sorting algorithms. Okay, so there's another algorithm where we actually look into each numbers. Okay, yung lahat. Ayan. We have this set of cards. Pagka-receive nyo ng cards, ito yung order niya. So 12, 1, 7, 3, 4, 9, 8, 10, 11, 2, 5, and 6. So what happens here is that we first look at the first pair of numbers. Okay, basically we see that 12 and 1 are not in order using that definition, no? That 12 is greater than 1, so we flip them. Okay, so now it's 1 and 12. Now we look at, they are now in order, diba? So now we look at the next pair, okay, which is the 7 and 12. Again, we flip them kasi they are not in order based on our definition. Now we look at the next pair, which is 3 and 12. And once we flip them, ang mangyayari is magiging 3 and 12, they are in order, but it's not in order with 7 and 3. So it will now flip again on that pair. So magiging 3, 7, and 12. Okay? And then we have the 4, the same case. If we flip niya with 12, we flip siya with 7, and then we'll sort it out into 4. Okay? And then we do the same thing all throughout until mabot tayo dun sa sorted na deck. Okay? So, nagets nyo ba yung process niya? Ngayon, at this case, okay, we have 2. Okay, balik tayo. We have 2 and 12. Okay? So pag finlip natin siya, hindi na ngayon siya ordered with 2 and 11. So if i-flip natin ulit, continuously flipping until maging in order siya with its element to the left. Okay? So parang if i-flip niya yung sarili niya all throughout these numbers. So from 2 to 12 to 10 to 9 to 8 to 7 to 3 to 4 to 3 until here. Pagdating sa 2 and 1, they are in order, so hindi na siya mag-flip. Okay? So the same way with 5. Okay? From 5, flip, 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 flip. Okay? Your pointer. So from 5, flip silang dalawa, swap sila, swap, 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 swap. Pagdating dito sa point na to, they are already in order, so the flipping will stop. Okay? And then if we go next for 6, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and we get our sorted cards. Okay? So this algorithm, okay, same process nung kanina. So we just flip it until maging in order siya with the pair. With the pair that it's being checked on. Okay? So this is an example of insertion sort, where basically we insert it at the point where magiging ordered siya, or magiging less, it will be less than or greater than its element to the left. Okay? So parang ganun lang siya. Right? So any question on this one?
Wala naman, sir.
So far, clear ba yung example or are there any questions? Or confused na kayo because there are numbers now?
Okay for me naman, sir.
Okay. How about the rest? Kamusta kayo? Are you guys okay?
It's okay naman po for me, sir.
Kiana, right? Tama ba?
Yes, sir.
And Francis, okay? All right. So, sige, thank you. Jairus, Sia, thank you. So yun. So, that's an algorithmic way of thinking into sorting. And this is not just the way on how to sort things. Okay, maybe you have experience also that you're sorting your photocopies by page numbers. So how do you do that? Will you just go through each page and then flip? You do all the flippings, or you will divide the pile of papers into two and ask somebody else to sort it out. So that's also an approach. Okay, so there are a lot of ways on how to sort, and all of them have different performance and efficiencies. Okay, so depend again on the number of input sites. So this is what you will be expecting at least for this class. We will try to implement this sorting, okay, in Python in the future. Okay, so once we go with some programming exercises, we will look how you can actually implement, transform this slide, basically this procedure into a code. So yun yung gagawin natin for the next iterations. Any questions so far? I'll stop the lecture there. Any questions? So if there are no questions, let me just reiterate why we are doing all of these again. So again, we go back into these four: scalability, feasibility, language, and currency. So we want our algorithms to be scalable despite input size. Okay, we also want our algorithms to be we want our algorithms to be scalable, and we want our algorithms to be feasible, to be able to solve the problem. Okay, I and then if we want to compare or optimize our algorithms or improve our algorithms, if optimize is not a welcoming word, so if you want to improve our algorithms, you also need to look into its behavior, and analyzing the algorithms will give us a common language to describe the behavior of algorithms, and we would know also how the algorithms would cost your computer resources in terms of space and in terms of time. Okay, so yan yung reasons why we're doing this. For the next sessions, we will look into detail on how do we actually count the number of operations that are occurring in your programs. Okay, so yung plus ba, yung addition, yung assignment operation ba, does it count as one or two operations, and so on. And then later on, we will devise a framework on how to describe the performance of the algorithms. Okay. Any questions?
None, sir.
Okay. Okay. Maybe one last thing. Meron pala akong isang slide hindi na alam. Bigyan ko sa slides. All right. So if we have different algorithms, okay, don't be overwhelmed with this one. Let me walk you through this. Let's say you have your algorithm one, okay, and its performance, or at least its runtime, grows linearly with the input size. So it's a straight line, which is the blue one here. and then you created a new algorithm that solves the same problem, and suddenly it's the algo 2. So we can see here that the runtime increases as the input size. Do you think this is a scalable algorithm or not?
No.
No. Okay, kasi as input increases, okay, this is actually a parabolic line or graph. Then that means the runtime increases by a square of itself. Parang ganun. Now let's say another researcher or another paper has published an algorithm which is algo 3, and it's on a logarithmic scale. So that means instead of instead of going upwards like this, logarithmic, if you can't remember, let me highlight it. Okay, so ang log is it goes up and it moves like this. So parang may asymptotic limit siya. Ganyan. So this is a logarithmic line or logarithmic graph. That's the algo number 3. So do you think this is a scalable algorithm? Okay, balik ako, atas muna ako ng one step, okay? So as input size increases, okay, it reaches a specific limit. So kunyari nasa 70 yan. Okay? So even though our input size is millions, billions, it will only be up to 70 milliseconds. Do you think that algorithm is scalable?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. From the basis of kahit ilang input yan, we know that it will stop within
At
7
7.
seconds. Right. Correct. So now we have algo number 4, which is it's a power as well, but it's instead of a raised to 2, this is actually parabolic, so squared yan, no? Ito is actually raised to 0.375. Okay, so it's also a logarithmic scale. So again, it even performs slower. So it has a lower limit. So again, this is more algo 4. We can say that it's more scalable than algo number 3, but both of them are scalable. Okay, so we want to improve our algorithm by improving runtime compared to input size. So ito yung parang objective natin. So once you understand these behaviors, yung behavior natin, no, n squared, this is a logarithmic. Okay, once we understand this is a linear, once we understand na the algorithm is a linear algorithm, then we can actually improve that. Kasi pag linear, it can still go crazy if the input size is higher. Okay, so we want to look into these and start improving the behavior of our algorithms. Okay? So ito yung visual way to explain yung improving the performance of the algorithms. We're not hindi naman tayo super mag-deep dive into the mathematics, okay? But we're giving you series of algorithms that we can say that this algorithm is better than that algorithm that we discussed before, okay? Or this algorithm is much better, but there are some caveats or pros and cons, something like that. So yun yung discussed during the class, and so yun, basically yun. We're giving you all the options, not all, but at least the basic options, right? Yeah, that's just a preview of what is in store for the class. We didn't go into detail on how this algorithm works yet. Oops. We didn't go into how this algorithm works in terms of the code. That's for the next lectures. Para hindi naman kayo mabigla pa. Okay? But just make sure that you review your MSYS 21, your Python libraries, your Python notebooks, and just to make sure that you are you still know how to code in Python. Okay? Question lang. I was told na Python naman yung MSYS 21. Is that correct? Baka I'm assuming lang na
Yes, sir.
yes, no, Python pa rin. All right, so yun. So we'll just continue what you've learned from that class and adding some more intelligent thought on how we code things. Parang ganun lang naman yun. All right. So if there are no questions, one last thing. Okay, so I've mentioned kanina no, that we have, at least I set up a Discord server. It's actually a Discord server for all of my students for this year. Okay, so I just named it as Study Lounge, which you can use, to collaborate with your classmates regarding assignments or regarding the lessons. You can also reach out to me via this Discord server, and all the announcements from Canvas will also be posted here. Well, all official announcements will still be coming from Canvas. Okay, so if you want to join, feel free to join. I'll share the link here. That. Okay, so there's the link to the Discord server if you want to join. My goal for this one is just to be like a simple study community for all of my students. So you will also be meeting other students from my other classes, MSYS 20, the freshies. And later for the second semester, in case you'll be taking some of my classes as well, I will use the same Discord server. So there are different channels in there. Ito. Okay. Wala naman ako ibang mapangalan, but I just put my name and study lounge. So we have the different courses here. So once you enter here, please read the rules, react to it. Once you read them, change your um, nickname again, include your class in the section. So I would know na you're coming from this class. I will assign you the role for MSYS 30 so that this MSYS 30 channel will be available to you. So you can use this as your communication channel for whenever if you want to meet with your other classmates. We also have study groups. So if you want to just gather and talk about, let's say, different problem sets will be that I will be posting later on, you can also use these voice channels. And if you have nowhere to go in Discord and you just want to talk to others, we have some off-topic channels here. Random kumustahan. If you are part of orgs, you can also use this to um, promote your activities. Other things, gaming comms, you're free to use this as long as you keep the decency on the channels. Okay. So if you are keen to you are not forced to use this study lounge, but if you want to, then you're free to do so. All right. So I'll see you maybe on study lounge later on. But for now, that's it for today. Just a brief introduction on the algorithms. And then for next week, we will now go into detail on algorithm operations, and then we'll discuss analysis of algorithms again in detail, which is yung kanina pinakitang graph. We'll deep dive into that, and then we will discuss recursion for the first 3 weeks of this course. Okay. Any questions?
Sir, kaka-join ko lang po ng Discord. Hindi ko pa mapalitan nickname ko.
Okay. Sino ka dito? Wait lang. Let me assign you all student role para mapalitan nyo. Uh, as you can see, I do it manually because I don't want na anyone just goes in here. So I prefer it to be a community of my students. So I'll do it one by one. Angelo, if you're here on the Discord already, please let me know so I can assign you the middle role.
Nandiyan na po, sir. Yung Zeb. Ako po yun.
Oto, sige. And middle. Right, so we can discuss later sa Discord kung ano yung iba pang gagawin. So the middle teacher only should be available to you already. For the rest, please, yun. So just make sure that you read the rules, and you can use this for any activities that you want. Okay. If you're planning to do a study with me session, you can also use this. May na lang ako, ganun. All right. So if there are no other questions, I won't keep you any longer. I'll give you.
Sir, sorry po. One question po.
Yes. Sorry. Let me see who's speaking.
Opo, sir.
Sorry, who was that? Lucia. Yes.
So sir, groupings po, ilang members po per group po?
We'll na-finalize pa namin yung project, so we'll see muna kung ano yung paano magiging groupings. We're just 20 here, so I'm thinking if pairs ba or groups of 3, but I'm not sure yet. So I will release more details about the groupings later.
Okay po, sir. Thank you.
Right. Anyone else? Question? Iba? Once you put your MSYS 30 tag, I can simply assign you the MSYS 30 role, and then you will see here the channel for MSYS 30. Right? So there's a rhythm bot if you want to use this as Spotify. It's really up to you. Okay. There are no other questions. Ayun. So thank you for attending this first day of the class, and I will give you back your 1.5 hours. And I hope you guys have a lovely weekend, long weekend, and good lunch. Okay.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you po.
Thank you.